Hello, hello, everyone. So good to see you. Natalie Cutler-Welsh here, the go-to girl. And welcome to another episode of Wake Up Your Woo. This is my new video series where I'm interviewing people on all sorts of topics, looking at holistic living, looking at mindset, looking at health and wellness, but from a little bit more of a woo-woo perspective. It's very exciting. And today I've got my amazing friend, my longtime friend and fellow business colleague and speaker and author, the amazing Lysa Black is going to be joining us. So I'm going to bring her in now. Come on in, Lysa. Hey, babe. Good to see you.
Lovely to be here, Nat. Ready for this topic, up and you're brave.
I'm so excited. This is so good. So you guys, we're going to talk today about the topic of the feminine rebellion. So intriguing, Lysa. Can't wait to dive in. Before we do that, can you give our lovely audience a little bit of backstory? Who are you? What are you up to?
Yeah, my name is Lysa Black. I'm a feminine business amplifier. And for me, leaving my birth family, my country of origin, the degree that I started everything with, I repeatedly chose myself. And I had to sacrifice connections that would have preferred me to be slightly different. I think all women have heard the message of you're too much or you're not enough. I heard both, and have chosen myself in business over 13 years to repeatedly share my heart authentically and genuinely at the cost of losing people consistently, which is what made me sought after and celebrated. So I am here to convey the deep message that it's so rebellious to be more of who we are, and that's actually our path to prosperity.
Being more of who we are is our path to prosperity. Let that
Yes.
sink in, everybody. That's magic. Amazing. So let's talk about that because I hear you, and also having come myself from Canada, and I've worked with Kiwis as you have, for 10 plus years. It's interesting to see how a lot of people are almost, I think, afraid to be themselves. And now in today's climate, more than ever, I think people are. So what wisdom do you have to share with people around how can they step into that courageously?
Definitely. I mean, there's two pains, and I experienced both of them. I experienced the pain of rejection when I chose myself and people fell away. But I also experienced the pain of rejecting myself and having to live in that. So I come from being a size 20 and I'm a now size 12, and I had no friends and I was not memorable. No one could remember my name. And by accentuating who I was so rebellious that self-claiming was what allowed other people to choose me. So the people that surround me now in my work, my colleagues and community, deeply resonate with the sacrifice that we've all emerged through to embody our truth. Either we feel the pain of them going, or we feel the pain of not showing up for ourselves. I would rather face other people leaving me as I choose myself.
Mm. So powerful. It's interesting because one of the questions I ask a lot of people, and not just my clients, like I literally asked someone this when I was walking my dog in the park the other day and we ran into each other, is, what are you ready to lovingly let go of in order to courageously create what you desire? And I feel like you encapsulate that so well, and not just in the last year or 2 years, but your whole journey from what I've seen. And you and I met back, 10 years ago at an event when we met each other for the first time. And I remember exactly what you said to me the first time we met. But you really do, you encourage people or you empower people to lovingly let go of things that aren't serving them, whether that be a relationship, a bad habit, self-talk that's they're beating themselves up, whatever it might be. So can you talk to that a little bit more? Like, how has your life changed as you've lovingly let go of so many things?
Yeah, the trick with the releasing is that we don't know what waits for us on the other side. And so when I came back to that pain, either I suffered or I allowed people to leave. Because I'd suffered so much, that's a real gift that has fortified me in this. Because I know the pain so well, I was willing to risk a new pain. So for me, the more that I released my connection with my mother and the more I released unhealthy friendships, my business just kept blooming because I backed myself, I spoke with authority, I had conviction because I knew what I'd gone through to get there. And a lot of people pay attention when we authorize ourselves.
Mm.
So I talk about repelling to attract. If we're not allowing ourselves to be so distinct and clear, that we cast aside anyone who couldn't revere, respect, and celebrate us. We're actually crafting sanctuary for the truth of who we always have been. And now that I bask in this, it's so magnetic that people want that same self-permission to deepen into their truth, their authority, their sovereign territory, and their sacred work. No one can replicate us. So I think when you know other people have done that, and I'm basking in this level of peace, it really inspires other people to give it to themselves, which is why I'm so passionate about this rebellion, because it's always been seen as sacrilegious to choose ourselves, and yet it is the most generous act there is.
It's so interesting. There is that perception of like, being selfish, right? Choosing yourself, but it is the smartest and the strongest and the most courageous and the scariest thing to do. A lot of times, I recently saw, I think you did a photo shoot with someone. I know you work with people to help them do what you're saying. And I saw a photo shoot, and I think it was Leslie, just looking so happy and so is just so comfortable with who she is, and I know you help women do that because sometimes we hear these things and we're like, "Yeah, but how?"
Yeah.
And you just some of the words you're saying to me, like repelling to attract and crafting your own sanctuary. So, just can you give me a little bit of how, like, if someone's listening going, "Well, that sounds amazing, but how could they do that for themselves as a first step?"
I think we need to remember that we've been conditioned to be the mothers of this world. So as women in business, people expect emotional labor from us. And we've been repeatedly conditioned to perform labor to serve and support others, to make them more comfortable, to lower our prices so it's
Mm,
more affordable for them. And so when we actually recognize the pain, like when we get really honest with our hearts about the pain that that's creating, we start realizing that if we're giving a diluted version of ourselves to others, we're actually enabling their diluted version as well. And for me to get super sharp and clear with that, I would never want someone to encourage that in me. So I would never do that to someone else. So the more precise and intensely, like I cut all of my hair off because I'm going gray now and I've got these wild curls. And even our physical appearance is a great way to accentuate by becoming more of ourselves. It makes it more heightened and more intense. And now I go to events and people say, "Oh, you're Lysa Black. Oh, I know you. I've seen you online."
mhm,
And so it's this accentuation from our physicality, from our appearance, from our style, to our wording, our showcasing, and how we sculpt and craft our sacred work. So feminine business for me, the rebellion is that this is all for me. I'm not here to lay down and serve and be subservient to anyone else. I'm here to hold myself up because I want all women to hold themselves up. I'm here to create the boundaries for respect because all women deserve that because we've all been repeatedly disrespected.
mm.
This idea of sanctuary is so rebellious because we have not lived in sanctuary. And we know the consequence of that. When we have peace and clarity, we can channel our copy. We can do a live at the drop of a hat. We can just spit out our showcasing content because the message is free to live within us instead of us mitigating and managing everyone else's emotional reactions to who we are.
Do you think that women these days are ready, to really be more of themselves like you're speaking about? It's because
Definitely.
through the years, the thing I've heard so many times, time and time again, "Nat, I'm just not salesy. I don't wanna be pushy. I don't," and they're really what they're saying is, I'm afraid of what people will think of me." It's a different
Exactly.
version of that. Do you feel
Yeah.
like women are actually ready to be like, "Nah, here I am."
We don't have a choice to not choose ourselves. This is what's so beautiful about these circumstances, that everyone's squeezed. And if no one has clear boundaries and an authentic, true sovereign voice, you're going to get pushed back more and more. So the
Mm,
only way forward is to accentuate who we are and start claiming our worth and value and asserting it with bold confidence. The moment you do that, you are being of the height of service because it hasn't been seen before. One of my favorite things is to rephrase, "I triggered her." I have such a confronting response when people meet me because I'm such
mhm.
an innate rebel. And I go, "Ah, they're triggered." I'm like, "What a gift." I'm like, "You're welcome. I won't even bill you for that." What a gift for someone to come into confrontation and to be given the sacred privilege of truly looking at themselves.
Mm,
Look at what I'm doing and the contrast between me and you, and I permit you to look at that. So when I started changing, "I've triggered them," to, "Oh, they're triggered." And then I'm like, you're welcome.
Mm. If they're willing to dive into that and look at it, some
That's up
people
to
aren't.
them. They can take it or leave it, but that's not my emotional labor
Mm.
to mitigate your emotional response by augmenting my behavior around you. We're ready for this because we're exhausted and depleted from all of the micromanaging that we've done. My life is so clear and so free. I now homeschool my daughter in the mornings. I run an event every week, bringing women together to help them become more accentuated in their truth. It's never been easier because I create no space for other people to push me back. They can get pushed back. Ah, the rebellion.
Awesome. Hey, Sarah, good to see you guys. Hey, Darlene, thank you for watching. So you guys, if you've got questions that are popping up, or you just want to be like, yes, I hear you, go ahead and comment. We're going to, if you're live or watching later, go ahead and comment or pop a question up. We're talking about the feminine rebellion. And, now more than ever, I feel like it's time for women to shine. And, I always say, like, I work with people who are ready to shine. And I think more and more people are ready to shine bright. And I talk about, be the lighthouse, right? Be the lighthouse. And not so that others will come to you and swarm to you, but so that they too can stand up, and be themselves in whatever way that is. It might not be loud and proud. It might not be, like you. I love watching your dancing on Instagram and you do your thing, but in their own way, whatever that is to them.
Yes.
Yay,
I think
Darlene.
that's the thing. Yeah.
I'm going to highlight this one. So cool. So Darlene says, I love your message, Lysa. I always listen in when you speak.
What's beautiful about someone like Darlene is that as we shine in our light, true authenticity actually empowers the genuine variation of authenticity in someone else. And I think when we really recognize that your shining that only supports and nourishes my own and vice versa, a lot of people haven't had an experience of that. And that's what's disabling. When you think that your shining takes away, and this is the masculine paradigm of competing, comparing, pushing, jostling. Whereas feminine business for me, all I say is just be so you. There's no room for you even to notice anyone else.
Love it.
Be so saturated in your own work, in your own message, in your own voice, in your own clients. Don't even let that take up any space. And because I've now seen you and I both creating communities where people are doing that, they're like, oh, she's amazing at doing that. Oh, I'm amazing at doing this. And that's what true authenticity really spirals out, accentuates, and amplifies.
What have you got to say about this? Something I've heard a few times over the years is when people say easy for you, right? So they might look at someone like me or someone like you or someone else like online and be like, well, easy for you because you only have 2 kids. Easy for you because you're skinny. Easy. It's like, oh my gosh.
You get
What is
that
your
so
response to
much.
that?
Yeah, no, I hear you, and it's just blatant ignorance, and I have so much compassion for it, but I have zero tolerance for it. And for me, what I know is that anyone in business today has already sacrificed everything. If you really take a note and get really honest with yourself about what you released and let go and sacrificed, I have no contact with my birth family except for my dad. I now have no contact with my in-laws. And that is because I have been forced to choose myself and sacrifice everything. And when you recognize that, when you recognize what you've sacrificed and put on the line, you start realizing that that deserves to take up more space. That is so deserving. It's so worthy. So it's not easy for anybody. And the fact that it's hard is why so few people do it and why I've done it, because I wasn't waiting for someone to come and rescue me, for someone to make it all okay. No one's going to do that for us. It's us and only us.
It's so interesting because I said to someone not so long ago, I'm like, I'm actually way more opinionated than people realize, like in real life. I feel like over the years, I have been very helpful online, tips for business and marketing and branding and whatever, but I'm actually like quite, quite intense with my opinions on things. And in the past 3 years, particularly, I've started speaking up louder about some things because it was not okay for me what I was seeing in the world, especially when it came to children. And I got a few people messaging me, "Oh, Natalie, I thought you cared. that's dangerous. Da da da. I thought you cared about the environment and people, and I thought you were super positive. I was like, I am, but I'm also really realistic about what I'm seeing happening in the world, and I'm not okay with it. So interesting when you see the pushback that you get sometimes when you start to shine bright or speak possibly less filtered or
Yes.
curated, than you used to, and people aren't comfortable with it. It's quite intriguing.
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. And this has actually been why I've been drawn back so closely to stand beside you, is
Mm,
because of what you've sacrificed to claim your voice and to claim what I call your medicine.
mm,
Our medicine is what I believe is the truth that we gleaned through our suffering. It's what we suffered so much to acquire, and it's a knowing that we can't shake off once we know. And now that you know what you know, that calls us to speak up and advocate. And this is why I call myself a feminine business amplifier and advocate, because I speak up for women. Because I think we don't understand that that pushback is an emotional threat that we have a fawn based response for. So we go silent, we stay quiet, we make the other person right, and we allow them to project the implication that we're wrong. Now, you have gone, actually, you're wrong. I'm right. And I know that to be true, and I accept your perspective, but I accept my space to speak mine. Back up, back up. And this is the rebellion. When we take up more space and we go, no, you get back over there. This is my platform. This is my voice. This is my life. Business is an autonomous vehicle for us to have the chance to be who we really are in the world. That is so rebellious. And that's why I really celebrate myself when people are confronted, because I go, isn't it interesting that a woman taking up space, using her voice and being on purpose in a sacred work, is this confronting? Isn't that scary? What's everyone else doing? They're complying, they're agreeing, and they're fawning. I refuse.
I love it. Here's a comment that we've got from Muileng. We've got so much courage and sovereignty to shine authentically in this conversation between both Lysa and Natalie, and sharing today. I'm inspired. Thank you so much for your comments. You guys, this is an interesting topic. I mean, I'd love to ask all of you there today. I use the phrase up your brave. What would you say if you
Mm,
truly upped your brave? Like either to an actual person, what would you say and who would you say it to? Or
mm,
online, if that's your jam, what would you actually say? What would you do if you truly upped your brave at this
mm,
moment? And what
mm,
does that look like to you? It's interesting to ask ourselves these questions. You don't have to comment, but if you feel called, we would love to see some comments. But I do ask that just reflect on that.
mm,
What would you say? What would you do if you truly upped your brave?
mm.
What about you, Lysa? Can you answer that question or a variation of it?
I got told yesterday that I'm not allowed to share my experience and my story of something because I'm not allowed to profit in my business from it.
Mhm.
I'm going to hiss at that,
Mhm.
because no one has the right to tell us what we can and can't speak about. And the fact that we have presupposed that they had that authority is why I talk about self-authorization, when we actually claim that our experience is legitimized, because through all of the seasons and spectrums of being told I was wrong repeatedly, I was actually the one watching it and watching it going, I was right there, I was right there, I was right there. But how audacious for a woman to tell someone that they were right.
Mhm.
Until this year, when my own family paid such dire consequences if I didn't back my knowing,
Mhm.
that I've gone, actually, I'm right. I know I'm right. And the fact you think you're wrong means you are disqualified from access to me in my life. You don't deserve to have space here, because anyone that can't respect sovereignty doesn't earn the space in my life. So when we're claiming what we need to say, I never send it out publicly until I claim it and hear it. And this is why sanctuary is so important. Like, I'm pretty famous for this bell, because I use it at every event, because I'm like, this is my time, my space, and I will hear what I need to say. And as I nurture that and hold that, I can then take it out and present it everywhere, because I have self-authorized that message and that voice, because I've witnessed with compassion what I suffered to arrive at that knowing. We are not calculating and doing our profit and loss on the wisdom that we've gained and what we suffered to acquire that. If we do, we would be so bold sharing it, because we don't need to suffer unnecessarily. We can enable each other's light and power and voices more and more, which is why I'm so behind you and so behind, this beautiful networking event that you've got coming up on the 8th of December, where you respect my voice, you have always given space for my voice, and I have such deep respect that you enable the voices of others, Nat. You allow them to claim their knowing and their expertise and allow that to amplify and become bigger and brighter. I only want to be around those people. And you are going through so much labor and work to bring them all together on the 8th of December for like an entrepreneurial end of year party. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be wearing something very hot, and I may just be spitting fire when I speak and talk more on the feminine rebellion that night.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, you guys, if you're listening to this in the lead up to December 8th, 2022, we're going to be doing, it's called the Go-To Girl Networking Night. It's empowered connections. It's bringing people together. Who are my people? My people are coaches, healers, impact entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, most of whom want to change the world in a big way. And it's going to be awesome. So lots of networking, some inspiration from yourself, Lysa and Donna. So you guys, I'll put the link in there. Early bird ends this Friday. So we'll see some of you there. It's going to be awesome. It is in Auckland. I do have people flying in for it or driving up for it from other places. So if you've got an outfit that you never get a chance to wear, or you're like, oh, I really want to connect with so-and-so in Auckland, but I never go, come to this, meet them there. It's going to be amazing. If you missed that event, you can check out other events. And by the way, I've got a Rumble channel now, so you can check out my other Wake Up Your Woos. It's Rumble Go-To Girl NZ. Also, back on Twitter, interestingly, Go-To Girl NZ. But upyourbrave.com.
I'm coming
What's
back
that?
to Twitter. I'm coming back to Twitter too. Yeah.
Very funny. Very interesting times. All right, let's amazing. So comment below, you guys, if you've got any other questions. Lysa, I'd love to hear. So you've got my event December 8th. What else have you got? If people are listening and they're like, I want more Lysa in my life, I am ready. What is coming up, in late 22, early 2023? What's coming up?
Yeah. So I've got my final event of the year happening in Whangarei this Friday, the 25th. So this is the final Feminine Business Connection event. I've done 9 in a row. I'm kind of blinking. And I make them on a Friday, because for a woman to step outside of her business and be surrounded in community with other people that are doing all the things and actually hear each other and nurture and celebrate each other forward has created this community of inclusive acceptance, where when women are speaking, they are hearing themselves and then going out into the world and declaring their voices more clearly, more confidently, and prospering on purpose. So for me, this is going to continue in 2023. We're going to be kicking off in February. And this is all about really allowing us to amplify our voices and our presence through this idea of sanctuary. So when everyone comes in, they just start telling the truth and really confiding each other and nurturing each other. So there's a culture of really allowing everyone to expand. So anyone who doesn't want to help other people in business will not enjoy my events. And anyone that really wants to feel that lift of being around inspiring, motivating people is like magnetized, and they become really big supporters. So I know that this week I have a series of interviews from different business rebirths that I've done this week, where once again, I'm capturing people's stories as they share how claiming their medicine and their voice, they've added new services, they've changed their boundaries in business, they've changed their title, and how that has allowed their work to amplify so that they can prosper more fully on purpose. So that's coming up here. So anyone who's wanting that business rebirth medicine, this is my expertise. I specialize in helping women claim the new title, the new service, the new work, the new kindred connection, so that who they are has space, placement, and resonance in the world, so that we can all go higher together.
I love that. And those that know me know that I love the word amplify. My coaching club is called Align and Amplify. And so I help the people who help the people. So if I can get your word out and get more people to go work with you, go to these events. One of the things I love about you, Lysa, is people will go to your gathering, I think you'll call them gatherings, and they just the conversation is just that deeper level, right? Straight away, you're just so incredible at getting people to, like I say, not just network. It's not just, it's really truly connecting at a deeper level. Sorry, a bit glitchy, I think. Which is so amazing. And it's a gift that you've got. And I really respect that, what you
Thank
can
you.
bring.
Yeah. I've met the most amazing people. My life changed the last time that I spoke at the Go-To Girl networking night,
Which was
because
many years ago, like
which
7
was
maybe.
many, many years ago. But the inspiration and the motivation that comes, you're such a sparker. This Up Your Brave message,
Mhm.
we've both been doing a very similar thing, but the uniqueness of being who we are, this is absolute proof that there's space for everyone to do their thing in their way, and it only supports and encourages people. So this idea of amplify is that the more pure and the more potent we are in our work, the more that we can expand. Because if something's a bit funky in how you perceive yourself or you represent your work, the bigger it gets, the more wobbly and weird it will get. And so
Mhm.
your purity in that has allowed your message to really get into that really big infinity expansion, which is why I'm standing by your side, deeply supporting you in your work and all the beauty that you create too.
Sarah, you got to fly up for this event. It's going to be amazing. Come up from Christchurch. It's going to be so fun. Yeah, 2023, I think we get more women like us, more women together that are ready to be the lighthouse. And even people that just never thought they will find themselves, I think, really speaking their truth. As you talk about, the feminine rebellion, it's begun. It's
Oh,
already
wow,
begun,
here.
which is amazing. All right, so we're going to wrap things up. Is there anything else that you want to add, Lysa, before we say farewell?
I think one of the things that we've gotten very distracted in business is that we've been so conditioned by this masculine paradigm that we only think that making money and how many clients and all these external results are the only way that we measure our success in business. And for me, I have found true belonging in my work this year. I am at home in my body, I'm at home in my truth, and I've been able to create faster and easier because I don't have to think anymore. I am it, I live in it, I'm being it so much. And I think we haven't had the models of feminine leadership like you, where you can do things at the drop of a hat because you're living your truth in a way that's now being expressed. We're no longer behind the scenes crafting, curating, manufacturing, engineering, right? Trying to make it all the ways so that it looks like all the things to all the people. That's BS. It's such a waste of time. As we step into the embodiment of our value and we claim our expertise and we stand on our sovereign territory, no one can compete with us. And we wouldn't want that. We want to support them in their sovereign voice and their sovereign expertise. So this year, as I've supported more women to focus in on more their kindred and raise their rates and use their voice to release books, it really is the way that we are acknowledging for ourselves, this is mine. And whatever happens, I'm committed to it. And that is so magnetic. There's an energy around it that people can feel and sense. And this authenticity is what people want to invest in. It's what they want to be around. Because what else is there? Like, what else is that other stuff?
I totally agree. I think, one of the things I don't schedule stuff. I mean, I scheduled this live to come on at the right time, but I don't schedule posts. I don't plan out my content calendar. Like I literally just live it as I feel it and I put it out there and I put out the messages, which is not everyone's way of being. But I think if more people could just be authentic to how they feel in the moment instead of planning what they think the marketing experts say that they should say, it's like just say what you think.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're all leaning into that a little bit more. I'd love to ask the listeners again, what is it that you're up to at the moment? How are you upping your brave? I think I get inspired by other women. I asked that question the other day. I've got an amazing woman I'm working with at the moment, and she's in Wellington. And I've got another woman here, and a lot of them are changing how they're doing their business. One of them is closing down a clinic in order to work from home more because she wants to get married and have kids. Another one is closing down. She owns 3 businesses, 3 physical premises, and she's closing down selling one of the physical premises so that she can really lean into her healing clinic and center. Then there's me. I've worked from home for 10 years, right? Which I love. And I am a homebody. As much as I love going out and getting dressed up, I love being in my own space. I've got a beautiful sunny house and it's my favorite. But I actually just hired out a clinic space because I'm like, Nat, if your ultimate goal at the moment, which it is to create a holistic healing center for kids, that is what I want to do. I'm a business coach, but that's actually what I want to do. Well, how is staying home doing, how is that moving forward? I'm like, actually, I'd love to be out amongst other holistic practitioners, reflexologists, massage therapists, chiros. And so I've hired this space. It's so exciting. I started last week. I've done one day. And it's like now people can come see me in person
Oh,
at a
wow.
proper clinic, not just at my house. I do a lot of stuff online, but I'm like, I'm ready to just be around those people. And it's a stepping stone to my wider goal. So my
Yes.
goal is not just grow my doTERRA business. My goal is create this holistic healing center for children. And what do? I bring the people together, the holistic health practitioners. And that's exciting. And so it's like, I'm just going to throw the question back to the audience. What is upping your brave, or what is lovingly letting go of something? So for me, I'm lovingly letting go of only working from home in order
Yes.
to courageously create or take some
Yeah.
stepping stones towards what I'm excited to create. What about you? Comment in the chat or at least write it down for yourself. What are you ready to lovingly let go of and up your brave to do it, right? In order to courageously create what you want. 2023, that's what we're all going to do. It's so exciting.
So exciting. And, this is the feminine wisdom of rebirth, is that when we allow something to die, we give space for what is meant to be to come to life. And that is just so beautiful. I'm so in awe of what you're creating, Nat, and what everyone listening to this is creating, and what we're going to be creating in 2023, and what we're going to be creating at the networking night on the 8th of December. We are rising.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, Lysa, my darling. So incredible to see you. Where can people find you online?
Yes, check me out on Instagram and Facebook. Look up Lysa Black, Lysablack. I teach how to craft your rebirth so that you honor yourself and you stand in your sovereign territory.
Amazing. Thank you, my darling. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you in December. And if you guys are watching this afterwards, there'll be other events and other things happening. Thank you, Lysa. We'll see you later, and I'll just wrap things up. See you, hun. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Wake Up Your Woo. A couple of things I wanted to mention. If you're looking to get one of my Wake Up hats, I probably only have about 50 left. You can check them out at upyourbrave.com. We've got the coaching club, the networking event, the networking night, as we mentioned, and check me out on Rumble, Go To Girl NZ. I've got amazing guests lined up for some Wake Up Your Woos coming forward. If you have a guest or you are a potential guest, get in touch with me and we can chat and bring your message to the world. Until next time, you guys, up your brave. And I ask you, what are you ready to lovingly let go of so you can courageously create what you want? See ya.